Good evening and welcome to the Triple R Performance Space. I'm Neil Rogers, I'm the host of the Australian Mood. Lovely to see you here, especially if you're in the audience or if you're listening at home on your favourite device. I'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and future, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present or listening today. Great pleasure to see you here this evening for what is a very special broadcast for me. The person sitting next to me I first met in 1983. I've been listening to his music since 1979. It's been a career that has been full of creative music over a long period of time. It shows no sign of stopping, which is a fantastic thing. Would you please make welcome Mr. Kim Salmon. Kim, lovely to see you. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thanks for that lovely intro, Neil.
As always, suitably attired. You're always resplendent with your clothing, I have to say.
I'm feeling hot.
I mean, I've seen you on stage since 1983 in Melbourne, and you've always been dressed immaculately in a way. Is it important for you to kind of get into that space as a performer to... No?
No, I guess so. I sort of like to, I don't want to say differentiate myself from the audience because I'm not really dressed. Look, you're wearing a paisley shirt and I'm wearing something like a paisley shirt.
Yeah, but I've been wearing the same thing since you first met me in 83.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And in fact, one of my first memories of meeting you was at the club, and you actually tried to buy the shirt off me. And I remember going home thinking that night, here's an interesting concept, because most musicians generally
they'd steal the shirt off your back, wouldn't just...
Yeah, well, I was going to say most musicians lose their shirt to some unscrupulous aspects of the music industry, and here's a musician trying to buy a shirt off the punter. I thought that was a rather unique... But that is very...
That's being subversive, yes.
Yes. We are obviously here on the eve of the new book, 9 parts water, 1 part sand, written by Douglas Galbraith with your obvious involvement. You make the point, Kim, in the introduction that it's a story about you. It's not necessarily your story because it's obviously in Douglas's words. As an end result, the book is in front of you now. Are you happy with the result?
Well, I haven't actually read it with the cover, and look, I've looked at all the pictures. That's very good. Ooh. But I have actually read the drafts leading up till the final putting together of it, and but I haven't done it all in the same order, so I've yet to have that experience. But I've read all of the bits, and I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, I think I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. In terms of the process, I mean, obviously Douglas was a guitar student of yours and came to you, I think you'd had a couple of goes at writing and you've kind of handed it over to him. I mean, that on the one hand must be a scary prospect to put your story in the hands of someone else, so there's a trust aspect. But did you have a right of refusal on any aspects of the book?
Let's go back to the bit of what you said before that. I'd thought of doing... I'd been put up to it a couple of times by an editor to have a go at maybe my memoirs or writing something along those lines. And each time I approached publishers, and they were interested, but it was just the timing wasn't quite right. And I actually needed to have somebody say, "Here's an advance, here's a whole lot of money for you," so that I could spend the time to actually write, because writing, like anything, playing music, it does require a lot of focus, and I wouldn't have been able to do anything, so God knows how Doug's managed to do it, but I think, I could sort of have a day job and be a muso, but to have a day job and be a muso and try and write something, it's beyond me. So that's. But right. Also, the thing was that I didn't sort of then think, oh, I want somebody to write the book. I hadn't. There wasn't a thought in my head. It was that Doug approached me about it, and I thought, actually, I wouldn't mind him having a go at it. I thought it would be a pretty cool thing if he did have a go at it, because I knew him to be a person who I'd trust to do the job.
And no, kind of, as I said, no right of refusal at the end? I mean, you didn't have to kind of pull anything out of it and go, no, that's a step too far?
I had a little bit of input in that regard, because mostly just certain factual things. I mean, I'm pretty okay with things, the Chinese whispers aspect of how things get said. But just a couple of factual errors that I made sure he got right, and that was about it, really. I guess there's some, it's an authorised biography, put it that way.
A lot of research, obviously.
In other words, it's really boring.
Doug's done a lot of research. Obviously, he spoke to a mountain of people, which adds weight to the book as well, and gives a lot of different perspectives from a lot of different people.
Needed somebody to give it some weight. If it was just me.
As I said, Kim, in the introduction, I first met you in 1983 when you were touring here. I'd been aware of the band, The Scientists, since 1979, wasn't too familiar with your backstory. So for me, the first part of the book is a really interesting read, your days of growing up in Bunbury and moving into Perth. It kind of struck me in a way, and not necessarily confirms, but I've always had the impression of you as, one, a very creative person and a need to be on the stage, but at the same time, quite a shy person as well, and someone who's artistically always kind of gone against the grain. You've never kind of taken the easy route. I mean, is that a fair summation of those early years for you?
It's pretty fair summation of me, and you made the book redundant by saying no. You get the explanation of how it could be that somebody has not liked attention, but then at the same time wanted it. But the book that's part of one of the dilemmas that the book explores.
That's not necessarily that different to a lot of musicians, though. It's a common kind of trait that I've found over the years of interviewing people, that there's this kind of level of shyness, but at the same time there's this enormous sense of creativity that they want to get stuff out. And I think it was, I can't recall who the quote was from, but someone I think once said that, being on stage allows you to be something that you're not necessarily naturally off stage. It's kind of part theatre, and it allows you to play a role.
Yeah, that's a way of putting it. I think it kind of allows you to be the person, be something that you really do want to be. I've found it. I mean, I actually find being on stage very comfortable now, and I'm really at home at it, and it's taken a lot. It's been a long journey to get there, but yeah.
Is the stage, and I also get the sense that the studio is an environment that you're very happy with. On the flip side, I guess interviews are probably not the most favourite part of the music business for you.
What am I giving off here? No, I quite like interviews. Everything has been a process to get to being comfortable with it, and being on stage is one thing. Being on the radio, being on TV, I've gone through feeling like I shouldn't be there to actually being at home in each of those. So it's, I sort of feel like there's probably a few other areas that I need to get to know.
I mentioned before that there's a part of you which is, kind of goes against the tide and not necessarily made things easy. We're going to hear the track, a track that I loved when I first heard it, Nitro, from the scientists, which you talk about in the book. And that in some ways sums up what we've just been talking about, where you were in front of a very hostile crowd in Parramatta playing to the Angels crowd, and it was one of those moments of a kind of, finger to you kind of audience moments.
Yes, and we didn't actually know how to play the song when we did it too. We'd had a go at playing a Captain Beefheart's song, and that went down brilliantly. And I thought, oh, well, if that works with a song that we know. And I said, what about that thing we did the other day at practice, guys? But I don't want to spoil the book, so...
No, but I mean, it is a kind of a musical summation of something that came out of adversity, and you've managed to turn into a much-loved track, and it was a kind of a very difficult moment for the band. You were suddenly, out there in the suburbs in Parramatta in Western Sydney against a hostile crowd, and you stayed on stage for as long as you could with things flying around your ears.
I just saw an opportunity. For what? I don't know.
Let's have a listen to that track from The Scientists. This is Nitro.
Tori Forsyth has released her new single, Be Here. In support of Be Here, Tori will play Workers Club in Geelong Friday, November 1st and Wesleyan in Melbourne Saturday, November 2nd. Tickets on sale now from toryforsyth.com. Tory Forsyth, sponsoring Triple R.
Adelaide's The Borderers celebrate 25 years of performing with a gala event at Memo Music Hall, Saturday, November 16. Known for their iconic and energetic sets at WOMAD, Blues Fest and Port Fairy Folk Festivals, and fresh from a whirlwind overseas tour, they'll bring an unforgettable evening featuring Highland dances, a pipe band and classic Celtic songs, Borderers style. The Borderers, Memo Music Hall, Saturday, November 16. Tickets and reserved seating at memomusichall.com.au. The Borderers, Triple R sponsors.
Welcome back to the Triple R Performance Space, and that was Nitro from the Scientists, and we're talking to Kim Salmon on the stage. Kim, let's move forward. Coming back from England in the mid-'80s, I saw the band again. You were promoting the Human Jukebox album, which I must admit, when I first heard that album and when I first saw you on stage at that time, I was left kind of scratching my head and going, wow, this band has moved a fair bit of ground in a number of years. That was a confounding album. No, I mean, it was an album that confused me at the time, and it was a challenge, but ultimately, again, going back to what I said earlier on about your career, ultimately rewarding it. I love that album now, but it's like your career, you've always been ahead of the curve. You've always been challenging people and making, very creative music and asking people to kind of keep up with you. And I think the Human Jukebox album was a kind of classic case in point.
Well, it's not being ahead of the curve financially, I can tell you that. So, maybe yes. I need to learn something from my perversity. I've always been a bit, a little bit perverse, I don't know whether it's just being called salmon and going against the stream. It's, one of those things. It's just...
I've been very careful not to use
say that.
I'm swimming against the tide kind of analogy.
And thank you.
Yes.
I own that.
I just have, though. Yeah. But, I mean, it is an example of, you have stuck rigidly to that that vision and that creativity rather than taking... not necessarily the easy option, but those decisions that may have been more financially beneficial or made you even more popular than what you are, if I can put it that way.
I think the problem is I've never really grown up and being a responsible adult and thought about making a living. Or I have a little bit because I'd be dead otherwise, but... really, the thing that motivates me in music and art and whatever is what would be interesting. And it's really just what's interesting to me. I don't think I'm particularly ahead of the curve. I just think it's what motivates me. I mean, it'd be great if I was more money motivated than I am for the people around me and myself. But and I try not to be completely stupid, and some people would say that the career paths that I've taken are completely stupid or they don't understand them. For instance, I mean, no, I won't go down there. I'll leave it. I was just had a thought, but I'll let it go. You're just going to have to wonder. Read the book.
But I was just saying to you off air, by a strange quirk of fate, last night I was watching a rerun of Spicks and Specks, and you were on there and pedaling the bike and whatever. But they asked you about that whole tag of grunge, and you said, "Yeah, that's great, but I haven't figured out how to monetize it yet."
Oh,
which seemed a kind of what else can you say kind of moment.
It's a wonder I said anything as coherent as that. That was my first time that I'd ever managed to not lose it completely on television. I'd already done Rock Quiz and was a non-event, and thanks to my nerves. But I found the secret. I had 3 glasses of wine before I went on, 3 glasses of red wine, and then I wasn't being self-conscious. I was just being me.
If we look, I mean, you have been in so many bands, obviously the Scientists, Beast Suburban, the Surrealists, Salmon, STM, Darling Downs. It seems to me that bands can bands work in many different ways, and
You bet.
they can, it's almost in one sense like a marriage, but you can get the very best musicians and put them in a room and you don't get that spark, but you get other musicians who may not be the greatest players in the world, but there's something that happens collectively. The sum is greater than the parts. You've had a lot of that experience in your life where you've tended to go for the feel of musicians rather than, and I'm not in any way saying that the people that you've worked with have not got great skills, but you've always looked for the the feel of the end result.
I think it's more been a case of it gets back to that opportunistic thing, but what this thing does naturally, and let's let it happen. It's always like working with Ron Pino, for instance. He's natural at making great music with his voice, and he really is a brilliant melodicist and an incredible entertainer. He's a very entertaining guy, so you just let that happen. You don't stand in the way. The Beast Suburban is very ramshackled and just it's not about being tight. But it would if it were, it would be something else. So it's letting the thing be what it is. And I think the same with the scientists. They're all kind of so many times you get producers and people saying, wouldn't it be good if they did this, or this is, why don't you? And really that's where they should butt out, because and I've pretty much let things happen. I've been lucky to have people to play with that have these things to offer, and that's, I feel really blessed.
Is there a difference when you're, the songwriter for the Scientists, and then you're, very much it's Kim Salmon and the Surrealists and so on, and the various other projects, Salmon and STM and so on, as opposed to stepping into the Beasts where you're one of the members of the band and everyone's throwing in song ideas and you're not, in a sense, the leader, in a way?
Well, I think it's very different. I do view it that way. I think of myself as being a guitarist and songwriter in the Beast Suburban, and I try to have a bit of artistic input in it, but it's I kind of see it as Tex's vehicle. He's the guy that has to ultimately sell it, and he's the one that sort of gets it together every now and then, and has the thought, let's do this, wouldn't this be good? And I go from there and do my best according to that. So, but I don't see it as being, as a songwriter for that, I don't see that it's really a vehicle for me other than as a songwriter. It's not like me singing it and presenting an idea. It's helping him present an idea. But, he might refute that. He might say that it's all five of us, and I know other members of the band have maybe struggled with that idea that because generally I'm lucky because I get to be a singer, and therefore being an equal part in a 5-piece band like that isn't so important to me.
Is that part because you've got the other creative outlets?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's because I already am a singer.
Yeah, it seems to me as a songwriter also, I mean, perhaps not in the Beast's case, but you've got to develop a relatively thick skin as a songwriter to be able to come along with an idea and share it with other people, and have other people kind of critically go, "That's great," or "That's not so great." You've got to have a kind of an inner strength to be able to absorb some of that.
Well, generally it's not so much whether they think it's good or bad, it's whether they want to mess with your idea. That's what, it's like, no, this isn't the idea I had. And there's invariably with any band a bit of argy-bargy going on. It just happens. But I think it's long ago in my career, the idea of being worried about how people would like the song if they don't like it. I mean, I worry about it because I'd like the standard to always be high, but I don't take it personally if they don't like my latest song that I present, and more often than not, I think the people that I work with are quite free to say it and feel that way.
Do you, over the years, I mean, with such a wealth of experience now, do you think you've got a kind of very good inbuilt gut detector about working with people and what might work and who might be interesting to collaborate with and work with? It's almost, it seems like, you know, bands almost, you know, it's part psychology as well as...
Oh, it very much is. To the second part of your question, or just what you just said, but I don't know. It's always hard. You know, there's people that I've worked with that have been harder to work with than others, and you know, there's been people along the way that I possibly, you know, wouldn't have worked with had I. But you know, that's the way it is. You don't know, and it's not even down to them being, you know, bad people, or it's just the combination.
Obviously, the last year has been a difficult year with the loss of Brian and Spencer. And, you know, we talked on air about a year ago when the Beasts reformed and did the album. You're, I think, about to go out early next year again with another Beasts tour?
Oh, it's the end of this year.
End of this year.
Yep.
Yep. Extensive tour?
As extensive as an Australian tour can be, which is really just about 4 weekends over a month. So it's... which is harder than it sounds. It's not a holiday.
Yeah. And any idea of jumping back into the studio with the Beasts again?
Look, I don't know. These things happen. I mean, that happened, the last one happened for a reason, and that was that Tex, after doing the benefit for Brian, that last performance Brian did, thought, you know, that was probably the last time the band would ever be together on a stage. Wouldn't it be nice to get the band in a studio? And I think that's what that album is all about. It's about mortality and what happens in bands as they get older, and just a whole range of things. That's it. So I think to just think about, I think, you know, let's let it be what it is and not worry and think about whether what'll happen in the future. That'll, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's how I look at that.
Let's hear a track from the Beasts. This is the track that you had on that you wrote for the last album, Pearls Before Swine, the Beasts.
You can
chat with Kim Salmon from the Triple R Performance Space. Great sounding record, Kim.
Yeah, it's Sound Park. It was Idge. He's the guy responsible. Well, we're responsible for the sound too, but he did a great job. It was a great fit.
Kim, we've talked about the various bands that you've been in, and you've been in a wealth of different bands. In a bit, we're going to hear from you and Ronnie. You talked about Ronnie before, and the Darling Downs. There's a maximum where, you know, with some guitarists you play with volume, it kind of hides or can hide certain aspects of the music, but when you back things off and play acoustically, there's nowhere to hide. And I think one of the things about the Darling Downs is that because you're playing acoustic guitar predominantly, it demonstrates your skill as a musician. You really see that in evidence when you know those records. What sounds relatively simple, you throw in little kind of skips and jumps into the kind of chord progressions, and it shows someone who, you know, is a very seriously skilled guitar player. Was that an important aspect, not necessarily the main aim of the Darling Downs and your collaboration with Ron, but it did showcase a different side of your skills and talent?
Well, it was a very interesting way of working with Ron, because quite often he would sing the melody, and there'd be nowhere to go really, because it was so obvious what the chord structure was, because it'd be such a strong melody, and it'd follow a particular harmonic structure that you could kind of hear it. So I sort of had to do little nuances to give myself a job, really, just to make it like I wasn't just strumming G behind Ron. So there was, or G and D, those are the two chords that his melodies tend to fall into. But interesting thing about working with him is that he doesn't think he has great musical skills, but and is that he's just a singer. But he there are songs where he's had ideas for cello parts and steel guitar parts, and he'd sing them to me, and of course I'd play them on my guitar, and found that they were really good arrangements. So I'm just trying to think. There's one on the first album, and the name of it escapes me, but Still Falls the Rain. He actually sang that. I mean, I hardly wrote anything on it. I just did what he sang and played the obvious chords. But I was then again, there were songs where I played a guitar line, and I would have a melody, but of course I wouldn't. He'd prefer to make up his own, but he'd always come up with something better than I would have anyway. But it's sort of hard to know who really does what. I mean, on that last album, the third of the lyrics are mine, and you know, he does more of the guitar parts than you would think. It's like we both work at it. So
I think you're being very kind of modest, but to me, you are a very, very skillful musician and guitarist.
I think that's the job, though. You know, if you're going to be in this business, you've got to pick up some skills. And
yeah, but some people have those skills and others don't, and you've been able to sustain a career for a long, long period of time, and it's always been a very creative career. Where to from here? I mean, this is a kind of comma in the career of Kim Salmon in terms of the book now, but you know, you've got that many projects on the go. What can we expect sort of in the next 12 months from you?
Well, I had intended to stop making lots of albums because to sell 500 copies of every album. I mean, what's the point? But the scientist seems to be back in the game, and consequently, we've got to that. I'm looking down that barrel of having to do that album that I've been saying we'd never do, and that album that everybody's going to eventually toss aside because they really just want to hear Swampland again. And but if we don't do it and don't play, we've got to be able to sound like Swampland, but not just rehash Swampland. So we've got to do that. So we've got to do that and get that formality out the way. Well, I've been writing that, enjoying with the other guys, and really enjoying it. So we're going to record that, and that'll come out sometime next year. And hopefully I'll get a chance to do a little bit more painting. That's what I really want to do.
There's an exhibition, I think, opens the 27th of November of your art up to this point, which is tremendous.
Yes, that's right. I better do some paintings, hadn't I?
You've got a month.
Yeah. That's
Is it paintings and drawings?
Yeah, paintings and drawings. There's some big ones, big. I use acrylics because I paint in my girlfriend's house, and I can't really oil would be a toxic environment for us. So
Yep. Because some are, without giving too much away, some of the drawings are in the book.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, there would be some. There definitely would be some. But mostly it's maybe a handful of big paintings and a lot of drawings and watercolour and ink drawings that I've done over the last 12 months.
Again, another creative outlet for you, which is tremendous, and we'll give details at the end of this in terms of where that exhibition is. And of course, there's a couple of new Kim Salmon tunes out as well. That
oh yes, that's what we're here to
I think
push.
you're gonna play one, and we played one on air last week.
Okay.
Is that from a forthcoming album, a solo?
No. Well, in a way it is, because my script is coming out on In the Red in the States, and Larry from there wanted me to do a single to go with that, and the B-side that you played was Unadulterated, was actually a song that I attempted for that album, but it never made it, so I thought it was fitting to have that on, and Let's All Get Destroyed was something new. And the other single was because Doug's publishers suggested that we have a 7-inch single to go with the book, and that's this song called The Poisoned Pen, which I thought was a good thing to go with Doug's book of scurrilous lies. No, his Gilding of the Lily. And there's a song from the Scientists, because the Scientists have been recording via the internet, and so this is just a bit of a teaser from this bunch of recordings, and we've got half of it in the can already, and the other half is going to be recorded in Perth next week, because we're going there to finally get inducted into the WA Hall of Fame, WA Music Hall of Fame.
And on that note,
Finally.
on behalf of everyone, congratulations on that, well-deserved
Thank
and well overdue as well. Kim, we might hear a track from the Darling Downs time and again, and let you set up, and we'll hear some music from you. Kim Salmon.
Just yesterday, when I fell from above, I said goodbye, now you're free to fall in love. Minutes turn hours into days, calling yourself that hardly play. My wall is out, the band's to
The Wilderness Shop, a specialist outdoor equipment store, is having its annual sale. Find a huge range of quality bushwalking, travel, clothing, rock climbing and camping gear from Mont, Arc'teryx, Outdoor Research, La Sportiva and Asolo. Sale on this Friday to Sunday. Located at 969 Whitehorse Road, Box Hill. For more info, see wildernessshop.com.au. Wilderness Shop, Triple R sponsors.
For Melbourne Music Week, Love Outside Andromeda will reform for a one-off show Saturday, November 16th at the Top in Town. Their first show in 13 years, the band will perform songs from their back catalogue for one night only. Saturday, November 16th at the Top in Town. Love Outside Andromeda with special guest Ben Birchall. Tickets on sale at thetopintown.com. Love Outside Andromeda, Triple R sponsors.
You're listening to the Australian Mood, Triple R FM, and we're coming to you from the performance space, and we've just heard the Darling Downs time and again, and we've been chatting to Kim Salmon, who's standing next to me on stage. We're going to hear a few tunes from Kim. Over to you, Kim. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. I thought I'd start with a song that is about basically the first gig I ever played, which was in a strip club that I worked 6 nights a week in. And although I wasn't backing the strippers up, it was there were strippers on sort of halfway through the night, and it was frequented by drunken sailors, and it was like a sort of a pickup joint for prostitutes, and it was quite a baptism of fire for me, and it gets mentioned in the book, so I thought it would be an opportune time to play this song, as I haven't done it in a while. It's called Shine. To the bar as I hide behind this guitar. I've given up on all the lies in between. Anyone who's worked this kind of shit pit, they're gonna know what I mean. The singer is crooning at some age-old song, meaning obliterated in time, but his voice is still strong. Though somewhat off key, it kind of falls on deaf ears. Here's a place that could rise to anybody's fears, but I've grown used to it, and that's denizens of the night. Learn to keep my trap shut and stay out of fights. Only 2 songs till the end of the set. Johnny B. Good could sound a good deal better yet. Then make for the 13th brow and a couple of beers. The preceding ones haven't been lost in deaf ears. Then it's time for the stripper and a dance to the 7 veils. Here's John the Baptist, and he's looking kind of pale. I look hopefully out as I see you walk in. Wherever you are, you don't belong in this stinking rotten bin. You shine like a torch, you're so out of place. I bet you're just a dream. In fact, I suspect your appearance here has got a reason for being. You're here to shine. You're here to shine. You're here to shine. Show me the way out of here with the strippers and its hookers and its drunken old sailors. And overdressed pimps in purple suits who could use a better tailor. All the has-beens who never were all destined to lose. Still trying to hang on to their dreams by feeding him with too much booze. But me, I'm just a kid, so what am I doing here so deep? You like a piece of candy that's lying in a trash heap. What kind of kid's gonna wanna throw away such a find? You're here to shine. Like a torch. Shine. 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 Thank you. The unknown remains unknowable until you finally know it. The unthought remains unthinkable until you just happen to think it. The unspoken is unspeakable until you think to speak it. But the obvious is always obvious, except of course when it isn't obvious. Someone did something they thought they'd never do. It was unthinkable until it finally got thought of, then spoken, then someone else knew the unknowable and did the unthinkable. And it all became obvious that all of this knowledge was a dangerous thing. Well, that was me and you, and we'd be lying if we said that we knew what we were doing this time of danger, till we finally did it. The unmentioned is unmentionable until you just happen to mention it. The unquestioned is unquestionable until you think to question it. The unfathomed is unfathomable until you finally sink to its depths. And the obvious is always obvious, except of course when it isn't obvious. And obvious is obvious, and it's obvious that all this knowledge was a dangerous thing. I've got this new thing I bought and I still haven't quite got it. And I've got this new song that it turned out to be a bit of an epic. So I've got to get my cheat sheet ready. I was going to do it second, but then I realised that the first song was also a bit of an epic, so... Excuse me. Costume change. Yes, I am. Multi-instrumental. surprisingly hard instrument to master. One day I hope to be able to play it. This is called Let's All Get Destroyed. Let's all get destroyed, let's all fly to avoid. Sure to make you moan, crawling into the zone. Sleep beneath the sky. Wake up and atone for the things that you've known. Oh, but how we toyed with our fears all deployed. It's all matter of fact with the troublemaker pack. Crash a shooting star. Every dream is cracked, every move is an act. Let's all get destroyed, all of hate is destroyed. Fall into a void, crawl right into a void. Find out who we are. Let's all get destroyed, all our fears all deployed. All the things you lost, get them at all costs. Make a pact, one can go so far. Every move is cracked, every dream is an act. It's all matter of fact with the troll make a pact. One can go so far. Every dream is cracked, every move is an act. Let's all get destroyed, let's all fly to avoid. Sure to make you moan, crawling into the zone. Sleep beneath the sky. Wake up and atone for the things that you've known. One can go so far. Let's all get destroyed, let's all fly to avoid. Thank you. One day I'll get comfortable with that, but it's the second time you sort of get to know these songs as you play them. Okay, I think I'll shine some darkness. I already got a song called Shine. I don't know, should I do two songs in this? I went looking for the darkness that's inside of you. 'Cause you shame me with a purity that can't be true. The unbearable lightness of your being got me thinking that you got something we're just not seeing. Show it to me, show me. Come on and shine some darkness down on me. Wanna feel that darkness draining me. Shame upon the rest of us, shame on you. Shame upon the whole wide world through and through. If you think you got no shadow, I got news for you. There's something in you that the sun just won't get through. Evil is looming. That's presuming that you're only human. Looking for the darkness that's inside of you. 'Cause you shame me with a purity that can't be true. If you think you got no shadow, I got news for you. There's something in you that the sun just won't get through. Show it to me, show me. Come on and shine some darkness down on me. Show it to me, show me. Come on and shine some darkness down on me. Show it to me, show me. Come on and shine some darkness down on me. Wanna feel that darkness drown me. Should probably wind up now. Given that I'm known for doing songs about darkness and fire and all that sort of stuff, primitive stuff, I'll keep in the same vein. But I'll tune up. That would be a handy thing to do. It is sort of primal, isn't it? You light. You light a cool fire. You light a cool fire. Or maybe that
what's the difference between you and me? And maybe that's not a bad way for us to be. And you sure do you light a cool fire. You light a cool fire. When I light a fire, I don't spare the wood. Maybe to your mind that ain't so good. You sure do light a cool fire. You light a cool fire. Well, a hot fire blazes and burns itself right out, but a cool fire smolders to last the night right out. But you sure do light a cool fire. Cool. Cool. Fire. Cool. Fire. Thank you. Thanks for coming along. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Triple R.
Big round of applause for Kim Salmon, please. And of course, you can see Kim's art exhibition opening on Wednesday, the 27th of November at Mario's Cafe in Fitzroy. And the next time, I think we see you on stage with the Surrealists, and that's at Memo Music Hall on November 9th.
Don't forget Kid Congo Powers and the NDE. And
Yes, and Dave Graney and the Miss League.
And Shrimpwich.
Shrimpage. You've been listening to Kim Salmon live from the Triple R Performance Space. Thanks to our team of volunteers and support staff, ably led and guided by Lauren. Thanks to our sponsors, Mountain Goat, and thank you to our audio partners, Performing Arts, Moreland, Avid and KV2 Monitoring for the sound in the performance space. And thank you for all the Triple R subscribers who are in the room today and those listening at home. Obviously, your support is essential to what we do, and it keeps us doing what we do. So we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. Thanks again. A big round of applause for Kim Salmon. Thanks, everyone. Great to see you here, and we'll catch you again in the performance space sometime soon. Cheers.